Spoiler cast! Spoiler cast!
Is this a spoiler cast?
Yeah, kind of. It's about something that hasn't happened yet.
It's not. It's more news. I think it's more news because Corrie's been very vague about the details of it. I think it's a speculation cast more than anything.
Speculation Street, welcome.
Speculation Dale? I
don't know if that really works.
Right, so what's going on, Gemma?
Right, so as we all know, that Coronation Street and Emmerdale are going to move to, Corrie's moving to 5 half-hour episodes, and they're going to make a soap power hour with Emmerdale, which is already 5 half-hour episodes a week.
Is it? I thought that Emmerdale was the same as Corrie. I don't even know. I know so little.
It was daily.
I know so little about Emmerdale that some of what we're going to be talking about is going to be lost on me. But
aren't they moving it to 7:30?
It's going to be
Corrie's
8 from January. Emmerdale's going to be 8 o'clock. Corrie's going to be 8:30.
No, it's not.
It flipping is. I'm pretty sure it is.
I thought it was.
This is hot off the.
Oh yeah, it is 8:30. That's no good.
I know of what I speak. Mm-hmm. Yeah. See, this is so hot off the press that we haven't even had any time to prepare anything.
Well,
we thought it's worth.
We'd jump on here.
That's not even what the news is. That's not even the news. That was news like 3 months ago.
Yeah.
What's the news?
So the news is that they are going to do a crossover to kick this off in January 2026. The Power Hour of Soap begins with an hour-long Emmerdale and Coronation Street crossover.
Should we get the press release out of the way first, and then we can talk about our thoughts about it? Do you want me to read it?
Yeah.
For the first time in British soap history, the hour-long episode will see characters from both soaps come together in a celebration of the soap genre. That does make it sound like they're going to go on a little convention together. Like, I love EastEnders. Let's go down to Wolford and then really enjoy it. Or let's go over to... And will the Neighbours still be running by then? I don't know.
Hollyoaks.
Right, no, that's not what it is at all. To herald the beginning of the new scheduling... I think
they're all going to be going to Casualty.
I think there might be some people going to Casualty. What's new in Coronation Street, eh? To herald the beginning of a new scheduling pattern, both soaps will mark the occasion in spectacular style as the combined production teams embark on an ambitious stunt that will have everlasting consequences for everyone involved.
Now, the thing about Corrie and Emmerdale is that they are very tight like this. Although they're rivals, they're both ITV soaps, and as we know... Many of the producers come from Emmerdale to work on Coronation Street. So Kate Brooks was
Kate Brooks, Kate Oates, Stuart Blackburn, Ian McLeod.
So they've all done it. So because Kate's like she will have been in the job for about 1.5 years when this starts. So she's still got all her contacts at Emmerdale, so I'm assuming that it's going to be a nice collaborative process.
Yeah, I there's sometimes rivalries sort of,
but of course
between the two soaps, awards. I think they're pretty much friends, aren't they?
Well,
they've got the same boss. Ian McLeod is the cloud McLeod floating over both of them, isn't he?
Yeah,
raining down upon them.
Raining, yeah. I was about to say another
raining over them. Should I say?
I mean, it's like England and Scotland, isn't it?
Friends, really.
Yeah. We have to work together sometime.
Right. So the distinctive worlds of Emmerdale and Coronation Street will merge for one night only in a mashup of our two favourite communities. I love how they got mashup in inverted commas there. Like, it's like...
Whoa. I would have put favourite in inverted commas.
Would you?
Yeah, why not?
Communities. I would have put in inverted commas the way that some of the soaps are these days. The producers...
I would put distinctive.
Well, we're not in the business of making sarky press releases, so I think maybe this is fine. The producers, scriptwriters and production teams have conceived an ingenious way, that's not in inverted commas, of linking the two universes, but with characters then returning to the soaps they are renowned for inhabiting in Manchester and Yorkshire.
You're not renowned for inhabiting a soap,
Stop criticising them.
I'm just checking to see if it's still recording.
It's still recording, don't worry.
Yeah,
right, the episode will be self-contained, but the consequences of the high-stakes drama will have repercussions for both communities and see them linked forever as familiar faces depart and exciting new characters arrive into both soaps.
The episode will be self-contained.
I think it just... It means
you won't have to watch Emmerdale to find out what happens.
I think that's very wise. I mean, Corrie generally gets a couple of 100,000 more viewers than Emmerdale, but I don't know how many people watch them both. I'm sure a good chunk of them do. We don't. I'm sure that there's... You don't want to be tuning into something. There's going to be, obviously, if you're a fan of both soaps, you're going to get a whole lot more of it. And you're going to understand a whole lot more of it, but they don't want to be making something here where we're going to be sitting bored or not knowing who characters are or just confused about what's going on, hopefully.
Yeah, that goes without saying, but the self-contained bit makes me think that... Yeah, you're not going to have to follow these characters to another soap you don't normally watch.
No,
but
although...
that's their hope, isn't it?
That is their hope, isn't it? Exactly. Like, oh, those Dingles look like an interesting bunch. I think I'll switch the telly on half an hour early. I'm still watching for an hour today after
Dingle
all.
Dong me, I'd rather like to know what they get up to.
Well, as long as they don't...
Making my dinner.
As long as they don't go over to Emmerdale and then just give up on Coronation Street.
Now, funnily, there are quite a few actors who've been in both, so I wonder what they might... what might happen?
Let me get to the end of this press release. I know it's very exciting stuff to talk about. I am quite excited. Are you generally enthused by today's news?
My cynicism is not won over yet.
Really?
No.
But you mean you did predict this was going to happen, didn't you? Because back in February, when this new scheduling shake-up was announced, it said in that press release, start of 2026 scheduled will be marked in spectacular style as both soap embark on an ambitious, never-before-seen stunt as a part of a week of special episodes. And you, from that, were like, oh, that sounds like a cross. Don't say it's obvious. Say you're really clever about thinking about it.
Well, I do want some consultancy fees, because we do come up with some brilliant ideas on this show. And they can have them if they want. They just got to pay us for them.
Right, so each soap will then return to its normal pattern of transmission, 30 minutes each evening. Emmerdale episodes at 8, Corrie at 8:30.
That's too late. It should be Emmerdale at 7:30 and Corrie at 8.
Oh, well, too late now.
Because I can't be bothered with this.
Well, it doesn't matter, because as the press release goes on to say, episodes will continue to drop at 7 on ITVX and STV Player before transmission that evening.
I wonder if they'll delay this cause sometimes they do with very special episodes. They delay it until...
Yeah, I think there's only been one Corrie that's been delayed. The Joel death episode, or the Who Killed Joel episode, was on live on ITV. And I think Corrie and Emmerdale would be wise to have this as a bit of an event, especially if they want to be directing people to, hey, here's the new Power Hour of soap. How better to do it, or how worse to do it, and make nobody care about the Power Hour than by saying you can watch it from 7 a.m. if you like.
Why don't you spoil it for everybody?
Spoil it for everybody. Spoil it for two fandoms rather than just one. And an extra treat for viewers, the press release continues, the producers of both programmes are inviting the audience to choose which two characters, one from each soap, they would like to see meet and interact in a scene. Details of this initiative will be launched next month. You did.
I said this for years.
Years ago, we've said that they should have a choose your own adventure. EastEnders did it with who should that lady cop off with, didn't she?
Something like that.
I can't remember who she is. But yes, this is going to be similar to that who should meet, which is interesting because it does kind of
insinuate that nobody else will meet.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, the new schedule shines with the research insights, blah 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 blah. So that's just all saying about why they're doing
blah blah.
The 30-minute episodes attracted higher audiences in 2024 and deliver more digestible instalments of continuing drama that better fits with changing viewer habits. That's just saying why they're saying they're cutting down to half-an-hour episodes. It doesn't say at all here. ITV hasn't got any money at the moment, but that can be implied perhaps. So that's mostly it. So it's going to be some kind of crossover.
Hang on. Yeah.
There's maybe going to be only one set of pair of characters that are going to interact. Either that, or there's going to be lots of interactions, but what we get to vote for would definitely get these two interacting. You see what I mean? They could have everybody bundled up together, but at the very least, these two will get a scene together.
It's really interesting. How are they going to do this? How is the theme tune going to go? That's a good question.
Oh yes, I wonder.
How are the credits going to be shown? Are they going to show Dale's and? Can you actually make in your head a mashup of those two tunes?
Da, 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 da. No, it's just turning into one of them. Da, 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 da. No, they're not even in the same key. I don't know how that's going to work, although I'm sure there are some musical geniuses that will make it fit.
I get the impression that this is going to be the path of least resistance, and so they're going to put like a couple of scenes in the Emmerdale episode and a couple of Emmerdale scenes in the Corrie episode.
No, because they're doing an hour-long thing.
I know, but I'm saying the path of least resistance here. This is going to be be difficult to film.
But I mean, they've certainly started thinking about it.
Whose crews are going to do what?
Well, a bit of both.
Exactly. What you're not listening to what I'm saying. Is it going to be? How are they? So what are we thinking? There's going to be a stunt, right? Now, we know Coronation Street is broke, so ITV is broke. And they're moving away from big stunts. They're moving away from big stunts and they want to do more event TV, which is why we had Mason's story, why we had Paul's, inside his head thing. I think those are actually more effective than stunts. I think everyone's a bit bored of stunts. But they have said they're going to do a stunt for this. Mm. And there's only a few stunts you can really do that are going to involve a larger number of people.
Yeah, and there's also, is it a stunt that is going to affect Manchester and Yorkshire?
No,
or are the characters going to be meeting somewhere in the middle?
There's literally no reason for anybody from Emmerdale to go on a trip to Coronation Street, is there?
To Weatherfield.
But there could be a reason that Corrie people might want to go to the countryside. That makes sense to me. I think you might be onto something about going to some third place. But then again, if you do that, then you're losing the iconic locations of both soaps, aren't you?
Yeah, and then I suppose you've got to weigh up what's more important, the locations or the characters. Because if they have a hiking trip up the Pennines, which is splitting the country down the middle, Yorkshire on one side, Lancashire on the other, then you're ripe for stunt spectacular. Billy.
It's not really a bit of exciting stunt. Like you said, Billy's already fallen off a cliff once.
Yeah, maybe he's saying, guess what? I'll show you.
Let me show you what I did.
I'll do it again. Yeah, just trying to one up.
You can't stop me.
So that's kind of where I'm thinking at the moment. Or we've got, and maybe they wouldn't do this because it feels not long since they did it last. There's one hell of a storm or something that's going across the whole of the north of the country.
Emmerdale's already done a storm.
Well, Corrie did a storm with the Coronation Street, and that was only a couple of years ago.
They've had leaks.
But it feels like that it could be that.
And also, Emmerdale, didn't they have an icy...
Yeah, they had the little limo crash into the lake.
Yeah, so they can't do that again.
At Christmas.
So I was thinking a car crash is an obvious one. But the fact that they're saying, we're only going to have 2 characters from each soap meet each other, that really makes me think it's going to be a lot more separate than we really are. But
how can... So are there going to be 2... Is there going to be an Emmerdale stunt just so happening to happen at the same time as a Coronation Street stunt? I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't think... I've got faith in Coronation Street here and Emmerdale that they will make this crossover worthwhile to be a crossover. There's no point, honestly, if there's only got 2 characters meeting each other, if they're not having anything to do with each other. They've got to be. Does it bother you, just kind of moving away from this area so slightly, that it's going to be now canon that these 2 soaps inhabit the same universe?
No, because we already had that. We already have established that the world of all the soaps exists in the same universe because of that stunt they all did for the...
Oh, it was the environment thing.
Environment. And now look at it. Look at the environment. Look
so much better. It's all been fixed because of the soap crossover. This was late 21, wasn't it? And you had Gary and Maria watching a video, I think, of somebody from Emmerdale digging an allotment and talking about it. And, there were various...
EastEnders was involved.
EastEnders was involved, they did something. Hollyoaks was involved as well. So you're right, in that sense, they do exist together.
EastEnders did something about Coronation Street. I think that they... Maybe I'm remembering it wrong, but it was all completely integrated and it's now canon.
It's like... It was a bit twee, and it's like, okay, yeah, all right. Just for the purposes of this episode or this week, they all exist in the same universe, but they don't really. This is saying that this is going to have long-lasting implications. I can't find the quote now, but it's going to repercussions for both communities and see them linked forever.
Linked forever.
Linked forever is odd. I don't know whether I want them to be linked forever. To be honest.
Right. So this makes me think there's going to be a tragedy. And that people are going to die. Like, I wonder if they're going to do a bombing. Because a terrorist attack or something in some kind of venue that they're all going to. Like, maybe there's a wedding for one soap and another soap's having a reunion dinner, or they're driving past in a car or something like that. Because what else links people? Unfortunately, a lot of the times it's tragedies, and they're not going to be linked together because somebody had a lovely baby, are they?
No.
It's not going to be something cool like everybody made friendship bracelets for an hour, is it? It's going to be something tragic.
Someone's going to have what I absolutely don't want from this, I tell you, is for them to get together and have a little group photo, and then have photographs on people's mantelpieces or on the wall of, Marlon Dingle, is that his name, on the Coronation Street's wall because they got on with each other well. That'd just be weird.
I don't mind that. I just think
I don't want them to be. I don't want to be constantly thinking, oh yes, they're linked. And I'm sure that this is all very
like the
hyperbolic
idea.
in here. I think it's going to be a case of maybe for a month or so at a push after the event, we'll be thinking about the link, and then it'll just be back to business as normal.
I think the potential for cringe is exceedingly high for this.
Well, so do I. And what you mentioned earlier about, we've had actors that have appeared in both soaps. What are they going to do there?
Kim Tate
I do not want
what's her face?
anyone
Erica.
to even reference it.
No, I think
you know,
they will.
like if
They
Erica, if Kim Tate meets Nick, he's like,
Yeah.
oh, I used to date a bird that looked like you.
I think they will not be able to help themselves.
But that's too fourth wall breaky, and I still want to be
don't
watching
mind it.
something that feels like
They've
a
got to
proper
lean into
episode.
it. They've got
I
to lean
don't.
into- Oh, I know
I
what you're
don't
saying,
know.
but they won't help themselves.
I think it's going to be
gonna be
difficult not
cringe.
to, because they also had this was donkey's years ago. They had a crossover between Coronation Street and EastEnders for a comic relief sketch, didn't they? That East Street one,
Yeah.
and that was clearly very tongue in cheek
Yeah, I
and
like
a bit
that.
of a
Bit saucy and
yeah,
banter.
like it wasn't supposed to be canon, but this is. So if they have somebody coming along and saying, "Oh, Billy the Vicar, you look like someone," I think Dan used to be in Emmerdale, didn't he? And Jenny Connor,
Yeah,
say,
Jenny did
"Oh,
too."
I remember somebody. I don't need that," or even something having like Amelia Flanagan
Yeah.
teaming up with her brother in Coronation Street, going, "Oh, don't you two look familiar?" That's utterly cringy, but I do think it's going to be very difficult to resist.
Do you reckon at the end of this, imagine if the whole thing just boils down to a bit like the scene in Shaun of the Dead where the two different people walk past each other in an alleyway?
That's brilliant. That'd be interesting. They also had it. It reminds me of when they did the Family Guy and the Simpsons crossover. They had like the peg leg guy and Captain McAllister
right.
sitting next to each other, and various other.
Who would you have paired off?
Well, I don't know, because I don't know
Don't know
enough.
anything about
Don't know
Emmerdale.
enough about Emmerdale. Although I think that the Script to Scene Twitter account today did post up a few counterparts.
Oh, nice.
But yeah, I mean, you've got, who's that old duffer in Emmerdale? Sorry, that's been in it forever. He's going to be paired up with Ken
Marlon.
Barlow, for example. No, the really
don't
old
know.
guy.
I
don't
thought he
remember what
died.
his name is. Or maybe he has. I'm not sure. Or you know, you got Debbie Dingle, is that right? Is that the one that Lisa Riley plays? She's going to be, you know,
Glenda.
with Glenda, or Mary maybe.
I don't know.
I literally have got no idea, but there's only going to be so much time for those little whimsical links because, as you say, a stunt's going to be going on.
Yeah, and I don't. Okay, so I did a quick poll, and I asked people what most excited them about the announcements, and I realised I kind of made a mistake, but I was at the allotment when I did it, so excuse me. More people by a massive margin, and let me tell you, this was 67 people answered this.
Whoa!
73% are more excited about the crossover than anything else, and then the next one is new characters, which makes me cold. And then stunt was 10% and vote was 6%. So the voting, I think, is something I've wanted them to do for ages, and everyone hates the idea. I don't want new characters. I don't see the point of them.
The thing, yeah, you
And I
can
don't
say
want them to
that,
get rid of
but
old characters.
there will always be new
course there will
characters.
be.
There's forever a revolving door of characters in a soap, so that doesn't surprise me particularly. What could be interesting, and I don't think they'll lean into this, is to say, well, let's do like an exchange. Let's do a character swap.
Yeah,
Let's have somebody say,
permanent character
this is
swap.
they are permanently moving to Emmerdale now, and this Emmerdale character is permanently moving to Coronation Street. I don't think
Like
I'd
a
like.
hostage swap.
Yeah, I don't think I'd like that. I think it would be too much of a reminder, because this is very it's for show, isn't it? This is a bit of a.
This is to get in the papers.
Yeah.
This is the guaranteed way that Emmerdale and Corrie are going to get the fact that their TV show is now on. The Soap Power Hour is on for an hour every day on ITV. And nobody would care about it if they weren't doing something like this to get themselves in the papers. Even if they would, I'm sure at this point they don't even care if it's desperate bosses struggle to come up with innovative ways to keep. They don't care about that. Just getting people to know about it is what they want. Because at the moment, they're actually doing pretty well. I know everyone loves to rag on them, but soap viewing, they say, is up 35% on last year in the first quarter. And I do believe that, and it's to do with the streaming.
I wonder what the viewing figures are going to be. Because surely they'll be higher than anything that Coronation Street and Emmerdale have managed separately for years.
You'd think that would
because there's got to be some people who only watch one or the other. Us,
That's
us
what they
for
want.
example. So I wonder whether this is going to be getting upwards of 5 million viewers.
5 million, you say?
Yeah, fine, I know.
On the press release, it says that combined they have a total of 8 million.
Okay, I mean, that's because one of them gets 4 and the other one gets 4, there or thereabouts. But I can't see this getting 8 million. I don't think it matters at the end of the day.
Oh yeah, it does. It does matter because that's what they want.
This is where I think they're gonna be some prime advertising slots in there. But again,
Also,
it depends on whether they release it earlier on ITVX, isn't it?
This is going to really mess everything up. Is this going to appear in both Corrie and Emmerdale's ITVX slots?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know whether it will be counted as an episode of Coronation Street. Will it be counted as Emmerdale? Will it not? What's the episode numbering going to be? Is it going to count as an episode of Coronation Street, even though it's not? Or is it going to be something separate? Like, you remember in the late 90s, they did that Corrie After Hours, which was Bet and Reg and Steve and Vic going over to Calais. And that's counted separately to Coronation Street, even though it clearly is Coronation Street, just set in Brighton and Calais.
It's part of the continuity of the show, though. It has to be listed.
Yeah.
What is it going to be called? It's got to be called something.
Yeah.
Is it going to be Coronation Street meets Emmerdale or Corrie versus Emmerdale?
Or Corrie Dales, and there's a Twitter account
I'm sure
there
everyone's
that's going to...
call it Corriedale.
Yeah, yeah.
And if it's really successful, are they going to want to do it again?
I hadn't even thought of that. You're right.
They do it in special occasions. I don't know. I mean, the thing is about it...
But then is it going to lose its gleam?
The thing is about it, this is a kind of logistical nightmare for both soaps because of how tight the filming schedules are for both of them and how difficult it is going to be. So I'm worried. Anytime something like this that is really ambitious gets touted, it always feels as though it gets tumbled around until all of the edges are smoothed over, and then it becomes something quite boring and every humdrum,
Yeah,
that's what I'm worried about.
Go wrong with this. It's got to be great, otherwise they're going to have a massive egg on their face.
The easiest thing to do is just to do what I said and just film Coronation Street and Emmerdale separately, and mix the scenes together into 1 hour long episode. That's going to be the easiest way of doing it. I can't see why they would do it any other way.
You're right.
Who's writing the script? Who's directing?
I don't think it's good. It would be too much of a trouble to get them to do it together. I really, really don't.
No, but
although they'll be filming it in November time.
The
late
budgets
October.
are different. The actors are different. The crew are different. The locations are different. Just because they're ITV soaps, they've got different they've got the same executive producer, so that's very helpful. And finally, he's actually being useful to bridge the gap between the two.
It just feels to me that if they're saying it's a crossover and you've only got one pair of characters meeting and they don't really have anything to do with each other, people are going to say, well, that was barely a crossover.
I do think that when it's done, we'll go, what was the point of that?
I'd like to stay positive on this and think I hope it's going to be something different.
Please don't go down the path of least resistance on this Coronation Street. That's what I'm worried about. Because I've worked in creative things for years, decades, and I know what happens. Somebody comes in with this brilliant idea and it's brilliant and wonderful and creative and no one's ever done it before, and then you actually look at the practical aspects of how you're going to do it. Somebody in charge says no, we can't, and then you end up with some kind of load of old tosh.
Have you seen any suggestions for characters that you'd like to meet?
Right, I've got a list here of people. I said to people, who would you like? Okay. So we've got Rory wants Dev and Kim Tate, because that's what you were saying about because Kim Tate is the same actress who played Erica.
Yeah.
Eric from Emmerdale and Audrey.
Oh, Eric Pollard. He's the old duffer.
Cast. There we go.
Yeah. He's a nice guy. We've seen him in
Cheshire.
real life in a soap awards thing.
Cheshire Chris was that was that suggestion.
Mm-hmm.
Overjoyed Joy says Rita, Audrey or Ken. Because that is the most respectful. Kit, because no woman will be safe. Tracy for the drama and history. I don't know Emmerdale very long, so that that doesn't help, does it? My choice says Thomas Robbins, Corrie's Nick to meet Kim Tate.
Yeah,
and
so
say
that's what
she
I said.
resembles someone he once went out with named Erica.
I just don't
also,
want that.
Kane Dingle and David Platt, similar personalities, snarky with dark sides to them, but loyal to the family. Louise 10 says Billy and Charles could compare notes on who's the worst vicar. Nervon Nation says David Platt has been my favourite for over a decade. Charity Dingle, she is my favourite in Emmerdale. Number 1 soap crush. Mo Walker says David Platt could get Kane Dingle to crack a smile. Keely Townsend says Carla and Charity.
I've seen a few people going for Carla and Charity.
Yeah.
And I think, if there's a vote going on, then the characters that have got the big fandoms behind them at the moment, like Charity does, because they were the part of the whole Vanity ship, weren't they? And then you got the Swala ship on the Coronation Street van. There's a good chance that they could get that could work. I mean, I don't know, because they've said the details are going to be announced next month, I think, about how the vote works. But is it a case of you can literally pick one of any Corrie character, one of any Emmerdale character, and the characters who get the most votes will win?
No.
Because you don't want to see those two together. Or do you put two together? And is there going to be a little grid where every single combination of characters is paired up? Or are we really going to get to choose between 3 or 4 possible meetups?
They're going to give you like 4 pairings,
yeah.
And they're going to know who's going to win in advance because they're going to put one in that's obvious, like Carla and...
That's what I'd be concerned about a bit, because if they put in somebody who's clearly got a massively passionate fan base, I'd be thinking, well, what's the point of even voting? Because clearly they're going to get through. Well, I'd rather it was somebody like... a Rita or a Ken or somebody, but then that's just my opinion isn't any more valid than anyone else's.
No.
I'd like there to be a fair competition.
Yeah, but it's better to the person who has the most votes wins because they're the ones that care the most.
But
that's just how it is.
Just because
they're going to be tuning in to watch it.
If say a really popular one gets through, it might still only have 30% of the vote, but that's still the most popular out of all the other ones. And then you could have the other 70 going, I don't want it to be them.
Yeah, I know.
So I'm curious about how it works.
Also, that to bear in mind that the closer and more exciting the vote is to the action. So, I think in EastEnders we were voting during the episode or right before it stopped, right before or something, and it was a live episode.
Yeah.
They're not. Are they going to do this live? Yes or no?
No.
So therefore, it's not going to be a tight. Yeah, this is the thing. So it's not going to be a tight thing. You're not going to be that excited because they're going to have to do it in advance, or are they just going to film all 4 scenes? And then you'll get to see them eventually anyway.
They could do, because
I'd rather that they were...
It's not going to have a long-term consequence. Like, it was Denise off EastEnders, wasn't it? I haven't seen any of EastEnders since I watched that, but the fact that she ended up with Jack, I'm going to say, or was he the one that he didn't? She didn't end up with. I assume that's
one from the bill.
Yeah, they were both from the bill. The fact that they ended up together, I assume, has had long-term consequences. This isn't. It's going to be look, these two are meeting. Anyway, they'll never think about each other again, so it doesn't really matter at the end of the day.
This is the thing, it's totally inconsequential.
Yeah.
And so if it's not going to be live and they're filming it in advance and they film all 4, at least that means that they're going to put some effort into making them different. Because literally, they could just have a scene where, let's say it's Charity and Carla, but it could be Mary and Colin or whatever. Literally walk past each other and go, oh, hi. Where are you from? I'm from Coronation Street. Where are you from? I'm from Emmerdale Farm. Wow.
Hey, well, get you
where
on the
are we
script
going?
writing too.
Well, what's happening? Well, I heard that the van exploded. Oh no. Like, anyone could be given those lines. It doesn't make any difference. I'd rather that they come up with 4 different ideas and they wrote actual scripts for them.
But we're not going to be able to vote for those because...
What do you mean?
Why? I think the votes... It sounds like the vote's starting pretty soon.
Why?
Well, it says on the press release we get to find out next month. What does it say? Details of this initiative will be launched next month via Coronation Street and Emmerdale's Insta, Facebook and TikTok accounts. But does that mean, we'll be able to vote from then? Because surely there's not going to be a vote running from May all the way through to January, or June all the way through to January.
Look, there's a lot we don't know, but this is kind of exciting. I think it's got a lot of people talking today, which is really nice.
Yeah, it's good. I'm excited about it. I'm looking forward to it. As something as a little, twee, cute little curio.
Well, it's not going to be twee and cute if people are dying.
I know.
I don't think that anybody who's going to be axed from this is going to be deciding to leave.
Yeah, no, you're right.
They
have said, because you said we don't need to see any more characters. I say, well, why not now? But they did also say that people are going to be departing as well. So that does go along with what you said about it's going to be a tragic stunt. Or unless it's somebody deciding to go off to the other soap.
Well, we do know that a lot of people's... I mean, I think that what they've done with their contracts now is they're all ending in December.
Where'd you get that from?
I feel it in my waters that I think that a lot of people are not actually... I think because of the way they're doing the new episodes...
I don't know. I really don't know. But there's been a lot of people
on Twitter.
There's been a lot of people leaving Coronation Street recently. I don't know whether that's the case for Emmerdale. You could look at this and say, oh no, not more people leaving. But again, people always leave. And yes, we are getting loads of people at the moment, but that's not going to just stop people leaving.
Well, look, can I just say the people
if they weren't
going to
leave in this, they were going to leave some other way.
Are not the people that I actually want to go, and the people that are coming aren't always the ones I would have chosen.
Yeah, of course.
But I'm not criticising any of the new characters because I think, like, I really enjoy Kit, for example. I know people don't like him. But yeah, I mean, it's exciting to imagine there might be some new favourite person coming, but if it's possible new favourite versus one I already like, I'd rather keep the one I like. Thanks.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, well, I think that kind of ties up that discussion there with what little that we know.
What do you guys think?
What do you think? Let us know in the comments. Sorry we can't speculate too much about who from Emmerdale could be involved, because literally I could probably count on one hand how many characters from Emmerdale I can actually name. But
Marlon. Charity. Colin.
I can't even think. Paddy, he's in Emmerdale, isn't he?
Mandy Dingle.
Yeah, Mandy Dingle. I don't know. So
That's it.
So we're not experts. But
Kim Tate.
Oh yeah, I'm sure we've made five.
I'm kind of super excited. Do you know who I want to meet off of the cast? I want Carla and Kim Tate, because they're both badass boss bitches, and I think that they would fight each other, or they would fall in love.
I would kind of prefer it to be a powerhouse meeting rather than just here's a silly character, Kirk meeting. Is there a Kirk equivalent in Emmerdale? The village idiot, surely?
Probably. I'm just going to say, the fact that they've only given us one crossover that they're definitely going to do really makes me think that this is just going to be 2 standalone episodes mixed together on the same topic. That's what I think is going to happen. It's going to be a Coronation Street episode about an explosion in a boot factory, and then Emmerdale's going to have an explosion in a boot factory episode.
I guess
Kate, Kim and Carla will go, oh, that was my boot they were making in there.
Time will tell, won't it? And it's, they don't usually release the details of any kind of stories too far in advance, so we could still be waiting 4 or 5 months until we have an idea about exactly what it is. But I'm sure it won't stop people speculating in the time being. But yes, let's call this a day for now. Guys, let us know what you think. Are you even excited or not?
Yeah, what do you think?
Tell us what you think. And we're going to go. So thank you everybody for listening. Goodbye.
Bye.